Hello everyone, welcome back to Easy English Story Lab. Today we will practice English with a story for B2 C1 learners. Listen carefully, pause the video, repeat after me. Try to copy the pronunciation, rhythm, and emotion. This is the shadowing technique. If you enjoy learning English with stories, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, write a comment, and share this video with a friend. Now, let's begin. My name is Clara. I am 26 years old. Most people think I am successful. I graduated from university with high grades. I work in a respected company. I speak English fluently. My social media shows smiling photos, travel pictures, and achievements. From the outside, my life looks perfect, but inside, I am always tired. Not physically tired, mentally tired. For years, I believed that being perfect was the only way to be loved and respected. If I made mistakes, I felt like I failed as a person. This belief did not appear suddenly. It grew slowly, year after year. When I was a child, I loved drawing and reading stories. I liked simple things, but school changed something in me. Teachers praised me for good grades. Relatives said, "She is so smart." My parents smiled proudly when I came home with awards. At first, it felt good, but then something else came with it: expectation. When I brought home a test with 95%, my father said, "What happened to the other 5?" He did not mean to hurt me, but I heard something different: not good enough. So I tried harder. Next time, I got 100%. Everyone was happy. I felt relief, not joy, relief. That feeling stayed with me for years. At university, the pressure became stronger. Everyone around me was talented. Everyone wanted to be the best. I told myself, if you slow down, you will fall behind. While my friends went to parties, I stayed in the library. When they watched movies, I worked on projects. When they said, "This is good enough," I thought, it must be perfect. People admired me. "You are so disciplined," they said. "I wish I had your motivation." I smiled, but they did not see the fear behind it, the fear of not being enough. After graduation, I started working in an office. At first, I was excited. I wanted to prove myself, but perfection followed me there too. I checked every email 10 times before sending it. I rewrote reports again and again. If someone gave me a small suggestion, I heard it as criticism. One day, my boss said, "This presentation is good, but maybe make it shorter." That night, I could not sleep. I kept thinking it wasn't good enough. I started staying late at work, even when my tasks were finished. I told myself, hard work means success, but something inside me felt empty. One evening, I was still at the office at 10 p.m. The building was almost empty. The lights were dim. My eyes hurt from looking at the screen. I stood up and looked at my reflection in the dark window. I saw a tired girl with dark circles under her eyes. I didn't recognize her. The night I saw my reflection in the office window, something inside me shifted. I didn't cry. I didn't panic. I just felt empty, as if all the energy I had been using for years had finally run out. The next morning, I woke up before my alarm. My chest felt heavy, like someone had placed a weight on it during the night. I stared at the ceiling. already tired of a day that hadn't even started. For a moment, I thought about staying in bed, but a voice inside me said, "Don't be lazy. Successful people don't rest." So I got up. At work, everything looked the same desks, the same screens, the same polite smiles. But I felt different. My colleague Anna looked at me carefully. "Are you okay?" she asked. "Yes, of course," I replied automatically. It was my standard answer: always fine, always capable, always in control. But that day, I wasn't. During a team meeting, my boss gave us a new project. Everyone started discussing ideas. Usually, I would already have 3 perfect suggestions ready, but my mind was blank. "Clara, what do you think?" he asked. All eyes turned to me. For the first time in years, I didn't have the perfect answer. I'm not sure," I said quietly. The silence in the room felt louder than any noise. I saw surprise in my boss's face, not disappointment, just surprise, but my mind turned it into something else. "You're failing," the voice inside me said. After the meeting, I went to the restroom and locked the door. I looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes looked distant, like I wasn't fully there. "Why are you so tired?" I whispered. Not just tired from work, tired from pretending. Pretending to be strong, pretending to be confident, pretending that I never doubted myself. That evening, I didn't stay late. I left the office while the sun was still in the sky. It felt strange, almost wrong. On the bus home, I looked at people around me. Some were laughing, some were talking, some were just quiet. I wondered, do they also feel like this, or is it only me? At home, I sat on my bed without turning on the lights. The room slowly became dark. My phone buzzed, a message from my mother. "We're so proud of you. You're doing amazing things." I stared at the screen. Why didn't it make me happy? Suddenly, tears came, quiet at first, then stronger. I cried not because of one bad day, but because I couldn't remember the last time I felt relaxed, real, enough. I realized something painful. I had built my whole life around being perfect, but I had forgotten how to just be. The night I broke down and cried in the dark did not feel powerful or dramatic. It felt quiet, almost empty. But that quiet moment became the turning point of my life. For the first time in years, I stopped trying to control everything. I stopped trying to be strong. I just allowed myself to feel. The next morning, I woke up and did not rush out of bed. Normally, my mind would already be full of tasks, deadlines, and plans. But that morning, I lay still and listened to my breathing. It felt strange, almost uncomfortable, as if I had forgotten how to simply exist without achieving something. I made tea and sat by the window. The world outside looked normal. Cars moved, people walked, a dog barked in the distance. Nothing special was happening, but I felt like I was seeing life for the first time. I had been moving so fast for so long that I had stopped noticing the present moment. Inside me, 2 voices argued. One said, "You are wasting time. You should be productive." The other, softer voice said, "You are exhausted. Rest is not weakness." I chose to listen to the second voice. That week, I made a small promise to myself. I would stop trying to be perfect in every single moment. I did not know how to do that yet, but I wanted to try. At work, I began with simple changes. I stopped checking every email 10 times. I read it twice and sent it. My heart still beat faster when I pressed send, but I reminded myself that mistakes are part of being human. One afternoon, my boss gave feedback on my report. In the past, even a small suggestion would stay in my mind all night. This time, I listened calmly. I wrote down his notes, and then I went home without replaying the conversation again and again. It felt like learning a new language, the language of self-compassion. I also started to notice my body. My shoulders had been tight for years. My jaw was often tense. I took slow walks after work, not to reach a goal, but to move gently. I watched leaves move in the wind. I listened to footsteps on the sidewalk. Life became quieter but richer. One evening, I opened an old box from my childhood. Inside were drawings, colorful and imperfect. I remembered how much I loved creating without worrying if it was good or bad. I took out paper and pencils and began to draw again. My lines were not straight, the shapes were simple, but I felt joy, a quiet, warm joy that did not depend on praise. Weeks passed. I still worked hard, but my work no longer defined my value. When I made mistakes, I corrected them without attacking myself. When I felt tired, I rested. I began to speak more honestly with people too. I told my parents that I had felt pressure for years. Instead of being disappointed, they were surprised and sad that I carried it alone. We talked openly for the first time about expectations and fear. I realized something important. Perfection had been my shield. I used it to protect myself from rejection and criticism. But the shield was heavy, and it kept me away from real connection. Without it, I felt vulnerable, but also free. One day, I saw my reflection in the mirror again, like I had weeks before in the office window. The girl looking back at me was still ambitious, still responsible, still serious about life, but her eyes were softer. She was not fighting herself anymore. She was on her own side. That was the biggest change. I had spent years trying to be someone impressive. Now I was learning to be someone real. And for the first time in my life, that felt like enough. Over time, I began to notice changes in small, everyday moments. When someone complimented my work, I said thank you, instead of immediately thinking about how to do better next time. When I made a mistake, I felt embarrassed for a moment, but I no longer believed it meant I was a failure. I also started to understand how tired I had been, not just in my body, but in my mind. For years, my thoughts had never been quiet. There was always a voice pushing me forward, telling me to improve, to compete, to never slow down. Without that constant pressure, life felt different. Slower, yes, but also more real. One weekend, I visited a park outside the city. I sat on a bench and watched families, children, and elderly couples walking together. No one seemed to be trying to prove anything. They were just there, living their lives. I realized I wanted that kind of peace. Not a life without goals, but a life where goals did not control my worth. I began setting boundaries. I stopped answering work messages late at night. I gave myself permission to rest without guilt. Some days, I still heard the old voice telling me I was not doing enough, but now I had a new voice too, kinder, calmer, and wiser. That voice reminded me that growth doesn't always look like achievement. Sometimes growth looks like stopping, breathing, and choosing yourself. I am still learning. Some days I move forward, some days I step back, but I am no longer lost inside the idea of perfection. I'm discovering who I am without it, and that journey, slow and imperfect, is the most honest success I have ever known. Now it's your turn. Listen to this story again, pause after each sentence, repeat out loud. Copy the pronunciation, rhythm, and emotion. This is the shadowing technique, and it will help you speak English more naturally and confidently. Practice a little every day. Even 10 minutes can make a big difference. If this story helped you, please like the video, subscribe to Easy English Story Lab, write a comment about how you felt, and share this video with someone who is learning English. See you in the next story.